Hey, everyone. It is Ashley and Bill for another mortgage moment. Just before we started our recording today, we were talking a little bit about our economy. It's always a hot topic. We're recording this the week before Thanksgiving. So, politics, the economy, religion, all those things you want to talk about at that Thanksgiving table. We're going to arm you with some info around the economy today. So our conversation was around the cost of money. So, Bill, when I send people to you, I'm certain we want to know, first of all, can they afford the house that they saw on the internet that they really like? And then they get into the nitty gritty of, well, how much is that payment every month? Can you talk to me a little bit about how these swings in interest rates affects people's just flat monthly payment?
Yes, because it's a great question. So, I think the big thing people want to know is, when they're looking to buy a house is, one, how much I can afford. I think the biggest question is how much is my payment going to be?
Yeah.
And how do I get my payment to be, this, or, this is kind of what I'm comfortable with to provide and spend every month. So, always good questions. Those are definitely the top ones that I usually circulate my conversations around, because people can, qualify for $1 million house, but doesn't mean they want to make a payment for that every time. So it's about the payment and, coming to interest rates. Like you said, we've been through a roller coaster ride over the past year and like a year and a half now. And we don't feel like there's really an end in sight. But like you said, the economy and watching the numbers, especially coming into another crazy holiday season, they're important. And the goals, real quick, and I'll tell you what the people, what mortgage people look at, and people that sell and buy bonds is we look for a couple of things. The big one is inflation. We need inflation to come down. I think that just is a big note for everyone. It's gone up. The goal is 2%. And a good thing that happened this month is inflation has started to show some signs of declining, which is great. And guess what? We saw mortgage rates improve also. So those are two big items that correlate. The other thing we look for too is and unfortunately, I hate to say bad news is good news sometimes, but unemployment. This economy is still booming, and that's keeping rates high. Where the reality is, you can probably talk to a lot of your peers and stuff, and they are spending, but maybe it's not from income they're bringing in. Credit cards are starting to rack up, debt's starting to increase. So those are all things that in turn will, when the data catches up with it, will start probably pushing rates down when they start seeing debt increase. Unfortunately, jobs being lost potentially because it's just more expensive to do business nowadays. But they come to rates, and we'll talk about rates real quick. Is rates right now, you could find around there, 7.5%. I think we use that as a good number of where you could probably find rates at right now. And this would mean no cost to you. Okay. This is the rate that is flat out what we call a par rate. So 7.5 gives me X payment. And let's just use $2,800 as my payment, principal and interest for this mortgage. How do I get my rate better? What if I want a lower rate? What is that going to do? So just for the ease of, what does it come down if I drop it 1/8 of a point? So if I went from 7.5 to 7.375, your payment changes about $40 a month. So that's what you keep in your head is every 1/8 of a point I go down, $40 a month difference in my mortgage payment. So why can't I get a lower rate? Well, you can, but it's going to cost you. It's just
wait a minute. It costs money to save money? Are you kidding me?
Of course. That's when you hear about buying down the rate. I want to buy down the rate. I'd like to get a lower rate. And depending on who you work with and including myself, I think there's benefits of doing it and there's benefits not doing it, depending on your situation. We talked about this in a prior session, but we're in this market where we know rates are going to drop. Refinance is in your future. So does buying points really make sense right now? I stress that I just don't think it makes much sense at all, unless people are giving you money, seller,
of course.
et cetera, to buy it down. Where it can benefit is if you plan on holding on to a mortgage for a long time. Because if your mortgage payment changes $40 a month, let's just do a quarter point. If it changes, that's 2/8% that we're coming down. That's an $80 difference in mortgage payment. Buying the rate down a quarter point would cost you about 1% of the loan amount. So if you have a $400,000 loan, it's going to cost you about $4,000 for the cost of the rate to get you that $80 better difference in payment. So the math comes out as like, it cost me $4,000 to buy it down. It's an $80 difference in my mortgage payment. We divide that $80 into that $4,000. That's where we get into a break even per se. That's when you get to make up that money you spent for this rate. And generally, and I don't have it in front of me because my math is not perfect right now. It's probably about 5 years, 5 to 6 years of when you make up that point or that cost difference. Do you plan on staying in your house 5 to 6 years? That's what you got to tell yourself. And then it could pay off. The other big benefit is, hey, you buy your rate down. It's tax deductible. You can write it off on your taxes as part of interest stuff that you can take off for the end of the year. So there are benefits. But again, in our market today, it's just tough to say buy it down. But in different scenarios, it could make a lot of sense for that individual, especially if this is going to be that forever home, right? And they want to stay in it, and maybe the rates are topped out, or have come down to what they might sit at for quite a while. Then the buy down might make sense. So back to easy math: $400,000 loan, a rate change of 8%, or an eighth of a point, is about a $40 difference in payment. Talk to your lender, talk to myself about any of those numbers, because it's very easy to kind of point those things out for you at the end of the day. Because what's most important? How much am I going to spend a month on this house?
Oh, absolutely. And if you'll allow me, and I know we didn't plan this before, but I want to throw up a little bit of economic data that was just shared with me just last week. I get to mastermind with Gary Keller, and our economists put together some data. And it was this slide in particular I really liked because it articulates the number of single family home sales with mortgage interest rates. So we know we saw those historic lows with tons and tons of houses being sold, right? And now you're seeing these come back together. So what does that mean in our real world? Like, people are talking about, oh my gosh, mortgage rates are so high, mortgage rates are so high. But if you read between the lines on everything Bill just said, you guys have so many tools to make that palatable. And what this graph is showing you is we're not in the feeding frenzy of a bazillion people trying to get that one house. You are in a position to negotiate really well. We have other videos on buy downs and things like that, where we can get you that manageable payment and you can avoid the frenzy. Because what that graph also showed, it went back to 2019. But if you go look at historical rate data, those rates are going to come down. We don't have the crystal ball to know when.
Right.
Maybe it'll be when inflation hits 2%. We're at 2.3% right now. I was also told if you removed housing from that equation completely, inflation's actually under control. So
Yes.
they're just trying to figure out, like, how do we get this right? Unfortunately, when the government gets involved, it seems to get a little bit crazy, and we don't always get it right the first time, but that's what they're working on now. So I love the conversation around, okay, yeah, interest rates are high, but what's the most important thing? How much is it actually going to cost me every month to get in that home that I want? And then taking advantage of the opportunities and the tools that your lender has to make it palatable for you.
Yeah, so just be sure to ask those questions, because it's very easy to tell you difference in payments and trying to find that sweet spot for where you need to be at, because it's there. It's absolutely there. The information's there. I mean, listen, you can find that online if you want, but pick the brain of your money guy and your real estate mind just to figure out, because we're in this for you too. I mean, our goal is to put you in the best situation, best payment, and just to help not just build equity down the road, but get you in that house that you've just been maybe dreaming about forever.
Absolutely. So we're here to arm you with like questions to ask. Obviously, if you need a realtor, I want to be the one to answer those questions. If you need a lender, Bill wants to be the one to answer those questions. But the most important piece, you just said it yourself, just ask the questions.
Yes, no dumb questions ever.
Absolutely not. Well, I think that was a great mortgage moment for Bill and I. If you guys need anything, please reach out anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to check out our other videos on a plethora of topics, and we'll see you next time.
Talk to y'all soon. Bye.